Good morning and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Colvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Thanks for listening this morning. Give us a call at 612-504-8400 or online always, havenfinancialgroup.com. All kinds of retirement tools, our classes. Again, this week, very well attended, Kim. Good to be with you. A lot to talk about today on the show, but great to be with you.
Great to be with you, too, and happy spring.
I sure hope so. It's got to be here sooner or later, but I think it is here as now we had some milder temperatures this past week. So the ice is out on the lake, and I think people are, they're ready.
Yeah. Oh, people, you get to this time of year, and with Easter being a little bit late this year, that does make it a little better for me because I'm very hopeful that Easter could be a nice Sunday versus, I can remember when the kids were little and they'd be out hunting Easter eggs with their big parkas on, and that's a little discouraging. So
yes,
we'll
sure.
hope for, we got another week, but we'll hope for a beautiful Easter Sunday. I am very much looking forward to this show. And I'm going to tell you, for selfish reasons, I'm happy that this show pertains to others and not to me anymore. But you and I have walked this walk, and I know you're still walking it a bit. But it's really interesting and a really, really important show. I wish that people would have talked to us a little more about this. And what we're talking about is college planning and family wealth. I was reading some statistics, and Larry, some colleges in the Northeast this next fall, $100,000. They're going over the $100,000 mark. That's, of course, tuition, board, but $100,000 to put your kids in college for a singular year. So people really do have to start to prepare for this, and it seems like they should start preparing even earlier than having children. So we're going to take a look at some of the topics today. The college planning situation today, rules and strategies for 529, universal life insurance for college and other expenses, which is really an interesting one. And then finally, wealth stability and family finances. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. You understand this completely, don't you?
I do. Yeah, it hits home pretty big time, considering my wife and I have four different colleges, from med school in North Carolina to the University of Kansas, to one at Bethel and one at Mount Mercy in Cedar Rapids, both the twins graduating this spring. But, college costs $100,000, Kim. How in the world can they ever get out of that hole?
Well, that's it.
It's frightening. And whether kids are in diapers or touring campuses, and anything in between, we always know, because you hear us say it every week, time is of the essence. And it really takes a plan, because we know how fast those years get here. And we're going to talk about the power of compounding. And a segment on universal life, Glenn Ramey, our insurance specialist, will be on for that segment. Powerful tool that a lot of people overlook. And, of course, 529 plans you and I are going to talk about. So whether you have grandkids or your own kids, now is the time to start planning from that, because a lot hinges. We're big into education, but at the same time, you have to weigh the costs associated with it. And unfortunately, I do see folks over the years that have really dwindled their retirement years and their monies because of college costs, tuition, enabling kids. And that's also scary, because you build up for these retirement years. All of this is part of the planning process that necessarily isn't fun, but if we're going to be ready for it, we got to start now.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about that kind of planning. And the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how soon is too soon to start planning for college?
Like I say every week, there's no time is too soon. No time. Now, your pocketbook has to be able to afford it, obviously. And oftentimes that's difficult, because you mentioned $100,000 on the East Coast, which I know is the highest. Although when I was looking at this, I found out Massachusetts has the highest tuition and Delaware has the lowest tuition in the 50 states. I thought that was interesting. The averages for in-state range from $8,900 to about $20,000 for out-of-state students for the public college. Private colleges anywhere from $27,000 up to $60,000. And this hits home, because I did my first 4 years at Bethel, and I'll date myself a little bit here today. I'm not afraid to do so. I graduated with my 4 year from Bethel, private college here in the Twin Cities. When I went, it was 10 to 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
Today, because our daughter goes there, it's about 50 to 60,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I'm 55 years old. For the listeners that want to go, how old is Larry? Now it's out in the open. So we got that on the open. That is some huge increases over this time. And I get into these debates as well, and me and my wife included, when we talked about college tuition. Um, my parents made me have skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And for many, if you're able to take care of it all, great. Me and my wife had differences on this. I think skin in the game is important, because if it's a free ride for your kids because mommy and dad are picking it up, if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that, great. And if that's what you choose to do, more power to you. But I felt over the years that skin in the game, where they have to pay at least something, is important. And, I think it teaches them something, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, my two children graduated. One graduated from, they both graduated from private colleges, and both of them were north of $65,000 a year. And both of our kids have skin in the game as well. And I think my daughter would tell you, it made her think on those nights when everybody was going out and she didn't want to go out because she needed to study, because she thought, if I don't study, this grade tomorrow is not going to be great. And why am I in these classes? So I think skin in the game. I was a kid who was lucky enough not to ever have any skin in the game. Mom and dad took care of everything. My husband did not. And he was somebody who, we paid after we got married. So I think, it works both ways, but, I understand exactly where you're coming from when you talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that you teach them at a young age to there's no free lunch. But again, if you're fortunate to be able to pay, but now is the time to be thinking, if you're grandparents or maybe you have little babies, the quicker you can start doing this, because it's a real tax on families, especially the baby boomer and the Gen X eras. What college costs were there are completely different. So, this is important discussions. How far can you spread out your money?
Mm-hmm.
Especially during high inflation and the stock market being down and all this. We're going to talk about that on today's show.
Sure, absolutely. One of the other things that's a real debate now, Larry, and I obviously in your household you have 4 young women, all of whom are being educated, and we made the decision as well at our house. But there is a big debate about the value of a degree at this point. What do you say to some of your clients who come in and say, Larry, we're thinking about not saving because we don't think that it's worth it?
Well, we're very big into education. However, at what cost is too high of a cost? Because a college degree does hold significant value in the modern job market. In fact, it opens doors to higher earnings potential. Some jobs require a college education for specialized skills, and in previous years, a high school diploma would have been adequate. So I think it still carries a lot of value. Now, it's interesting in recent years, though, that the trades, I've seen a lot more kids get into the trades, and there's a great opportunity in there for jobs and job security. We need tradesmen that I've seen do very, very well in incurring very low college costs, at the trade schools. I teach at Dakota County Tech, so I run into some that are out there. But you really got to, give it some thought, because the purchasing power of the dollar today isn't what it was in previous generations. And, let's face it, at what point of student debt does that hole get so big that it takes many, many years to get out of? I had a couple in last week that they were referred to us, and he's a medical doctor at the Children's Hospital in St. Paul, and they're in their low to mid 50s. And he goes, Larry, I dug a huge hole with medical bills. And he did. Now, their earnings potential is there. I had to assure them that, even with the big debt burden that they are doing, they're really, really on track. But again, how big of a hole is too big to dig out of? Because there's no guarantee, even getting out of college, that you're going to find the job that you want, and certainly to the degree maybe the pay that you're expecting. Debt is a big discussion. There's good debt and bad debt. I'm all about education. Everything costs more. And it's not just the tuition. Kim, it's the room, the board, and the fees, and the
Absolutely.
books, and
Right.
all of those things. We've seen significant increases in all across the board, not just in one or two areas. It's really all the areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people don't be fooled by tuition costs because that's just a portion of what it is that you're paying when you're sending your kids away. Our number is 612-504-8400. That's how you reach out to Haven Financial Group. And today, if we're talking about something that, rings true to you and you've got some questions, you're maybe getting ready to start a family, or you've got kids who are starting to think about going to college, and you've got some questions, the number is 612-504-8400. We're going to explore some ways in which you can begin to save those dollars for college educations. And as Larry said, there are ways that you might want to get involved in immediately. So that's coming up next. We're going to talk about 529s right here on the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.